Good Tuesday afternoon, YouTube. This is Ty, your Metalhead Weatherman. How are you guys? I hope you guys are doing very well today. All right, so today is April 12th, 2022, and we are in the midst of yet another day of severe weather. This time it includes the areas of Nebraska, Iowa, and even southern Minneapolis. Crazy to say that those states are under the gun for severe weather. And then we have a secondary area of extreme weather in Texas around the Dallas metro. In fact, there's even a tornado warning right there. It's this small little red polygon right here. I'm gonna take a quick look at that. It's right to the west of Waco, actually. It's actually really interesting. I kind of want to take a look at it on the radar. Radar Omega for me is acting up today for whatever reason, so haven't been able to pull that up. It would have been a little bit easier, but we got a tornado warning here. Take a look at the details, and this is a radar indicated tornado first, and this is a tornado warning for Coryell and Bell counties in Texas. It's capable of producing tornado near Fort Gates, 8 miles southeast of Gatesville, moving east at 35 miles an hour. So, if you are near the town of Waco, take cover because this will be on you shortly. I want to try to get a quick look at I would love to get a quick look at the radar here. Yep, here we go. Take a look at the local radar, see what the storm looks like. This would give us an idea of what could be going on in Texas here, because they actually have a lot more going on that I'm going to go into detail about very shortly. So we're on the National Weather Service website here. Scrolling a little bit closer. Just waiting for it to load. So this is a storm near Waco. It's a convective line of storms here. I think somewhere around here, that's our point of rotation. So based off what this shows me, here that we were looking at a line of storms forming near the southern plains in Texas, and that looks like that's already coming to fruition. So that's one thing that we've gotten right here. Gotta brag about those, especially since everyone says weathermen are wrong, right? So let's go to the severe weather outlook for tonight. Particularly going to be talking about tomorrow in this video, but I am going to go over tonight, of course. I'd be wrong if I didn't. So, interestingly enough, now we have a moderate risk for severe weather, and this is around the eastern edge of Kansas, or not Kansas, but Nebraska and into Iowa. Wow, I'm getting my states wrong horribly today. Looks like there's also a new meso discussion from the Storm Prediction Center. They're looking at issuing another tornado watch in the southern plains. Because, I mean, those storms are producing tornado warnings, so it leads them to think that maybe it will be warranted for there to be a tornado watch issued. But we'll see what happens. But also, if you look here, yesterday we had an enhanced risk that stretched all the way down this region. So it looks like they've cut out Oklahoma City and southern parts of Kansas from the enhanced risk, as well as western Arkansas. So now our enhanced risk includes, we have two areas of enhanced risk. One is for that line of storms that's in southern Texas near Dallas, and the other one is where we are going to be expecting some stronger tornadoes to be possible in the area I just mentioned, with Iowa, northeastern Kansas, and eastern Nebraska, and also northwestern Missouri. So, I mean, we have multiple watches up. That's not a surprise here. So far, we're going to check the storm reports. Things are really just now starting to unfold here, it seems like. Only 3 wind reports, but most of it's hail reports, actually. We'll go into detail about that another time. But let's look at day 2, because they have now upgraded this to a moderate risk. Not surprising by any account, as far as in my opinion. I was expecting this, but they did it a day early. I do think there is a slight increase in confidence as to whether or not there are prefrontal storms, but we'll just have to wait and see. We now have a upgraded 15% tornado threat for northern Louisiana, southeastern Arkansas, and into northwestern Mississippi. And also beware in areas like Memphis and Jackson, Shreveport, and Little Rock too, because even though you aren't in the highest threat area, you can still get a strong, violent tornado in that 10% risk. 10% is pretty high from the National Weather Service, to be honest. So definitely anyone that's in this hatch risk area in particular needs to stay weather aware. Also, I'd like to make a little mention here that there is a marginal risk area that's developed here just around Pennsylvania and New York here. A lot of people are going to have their eyes drawn to this, and they're going to forget about this. So 2%, keep in mind, a marginal risk isn't a 0% chance of severe weather. I cannot speak. It's not a 0% chance of severe weather, so be on guard for that. There is a 2% tornado threat there. There is a 5% wind threat over there. And there is a 5% hail threat. Speaking of wind threat, if we look, most of our moderate risk is under a 45% chance of damaging straight line winds, some of which could be significant, and wind greater than 65 knots, basically 70 miles an hour from ground level. So there's a lot of nasty storm potential around here, around this hatched area, including Indianapolis now too. Wow. Nashville, you're in this as well. Jackson, Mississippi, you're in there. Jackson, Tennessee, you're also in there. Memphis, Tennessee, you're in there. Little Rock, you're in the hatched risk. And Shreveport's just outside of it. And then we have a significant hail threat right around where our moderate risk is. And we have both Jackson, Mississippi, and Tennessee in it again. Greenville, Mississippi, Little Rock, Memphis, Alexandria, Louisiana, you're in play for this, and Shreveport, you're just outside of this. But this means you could get 2-inch hail or greater. So I'm going to actually take a quick little read at this here. So just taking a brief look here. We have so there has been an increase in confidence, saying that there is some quasi-discrete supercells that will develop, which is probably why they've gone with the moderate risk, and it could even go to high risk if we just get some full-on discrete cells. And then on top of that, anything that's linear is going to definitely get into that low-level jet, and it's going to root itself, and then it's just going to go absolutely bonkers as well. So it's going to be a very messy day there. And then we'll talk about Thursday tomorrow. They have a marginal risk in play here, but I think these storms might lose a lot more steam than expected. These storms may refire later in the day around these regions, around this region here, and maybe around here. It's hard to say right now, but we'll go into that tomorrow. I'm trying not to make this video too long here. We're already running on 10 minutes, so let's look at the Cape for tonight, and then we'll just take a look at the radar, what the radar could look like, I should say. So we're going into the evening hours here, and we do have our Cape set up. We're sitting at about 2,000 to 3,000 around our moderate risk area in particular. So we're going to have to be really watchful of this. I do expect some very dangerous storms to develop and grow here. And even in getting closer towards the nighttime hours, we're still having capes around 2,000 or 3,000. At this point, we will have lost our daytime heating, and we still have plenty of storm juice. Basically, that's pretty much what cape is. It's just thunderstorm juice. And look at this cape right here. Look at this amount of cape right here in Oklahoma City. That's crazy. I'm not sure as to why they would. I guess some of the other parameters weren't really in play here, and maybe that's why they took away the enhanced risk. But that could be a little bit of an oversight by them, possibly. I don't know. It's hard to say. So watch this cape move off and die off as it moves to the east, and then we'll be on an uptick tomorrow, which we'll go into detail a little bit later. I don't expect too many big changes on the significant tornado parameter. I think all the numbers are going to be high, just like we had gone over yesterday. So we're just basically touching up on Tuesday real quick. So this is what the radar could look like within the next few hours. So we already have a small line of storms trying to develop here. This looks like a quasi-linear event, but because we're near this low here, I think there is a little bit of additional rotation, and we do have a very spiked low level jet here. So I think anything that's on this line could spin easily, especially as this moves further and further east. It'll be a little bit. I'm still seeing a weird look from the HRRR today. I might just take a look at the NAM instead, because I'm just not sure if this look adds up to me. But we'll go over tomorrow, and we have to use the NAM anyway. So we're going to actually take a slightly different approach here. We're going to look at the upper level jet here, and then we're going to take a look at the low level jet and get an idea of the directional shear here. So into the overnight, we're dealing with a low level jet sitting around high level jet, the 500 millibar jet, sitting at about 80 to 90 knots, which is crazy. That thing's screaming. So there's plenty of tornado juice in the atmosphere. Question is, where will those storms be? If we get any storms to form under this and it roots, we could have some very violent tornadoes. So we're looking at these little wind barbs here as well. This will give us an idea of directional shear. I mean, it looks like we have something. We do have something there. But when we look here, that's going to become the key to everything. But if you look closely, you can even see. So we had, with those other barbs we had at 500 millibars, about 30,000 feet up, we had them kind of going in this direction. And if you look at where these wind barbs are here, they're going in this direction. So you have a set of winds at a higher level going this way, and then the winds at the lower level going this way. That's basically rotation that you're seeing there as a result. And as we move this forward, this low level jet really picks up around here. Very alarming total numbers that we're getting here. We're getting towards 65 to 70 knots in the late evening hours. And this only expands, so this has definitely looked like a late evening into overnight tornado threat as well. We're even getting areas where we're spiking at about 70 to 75 knots. It's almost maxing out this thing, because this thing goes up to 80. It's very alarming to see that. So keep moving this forward. Low level jet doesn't really die off either as this line of storms develops, and then by tomorrow we're looking at really high numbers here around Arkansas, and we'll watch this move further and further east. I think especially Arkansas is going to be the area of greatest interest as far as severe weather and tornadoes tomorrow, so we'll be watching them very closely throughout the day. This threat could start early in the day too. I mean, this is getting into the early afternoon hour, so there's really no reason for me to think that this will be a late day storm threat. This will happen early. So if you're watching, if if you have your kids in school, just tell them to stay weather aware. Have some way to get in contact with you if things start to get out of hand. Have a way to get them ahead of the storm. Don't wait till the storm gets there if you really are feeling that nervous. So move this along into the late night hours on Wednesday. Low level jet moves further into the Ohio Valley. We're going to move over there right now. And then we're going to take a look at a couple of parameters there real quick, and then we will be done with that. I also want to keep making mention of one thing here, also that isn't being discussed too much. There is a pretty considerable flood threat because around a lot of these areas we've gotten a lot of rain recently, especially around the southeast, especially around Mississippi. I do think that there is going to be a real nasty behind the scenes, like cheeky flash flood threat. Excuse me. And so basically we have to keep an eye out for our tornado threat, our high wind threat, hail threat too, even though it's on the lower end of the three. But we also need to keep an eye out for flash flooding, because whenever the ground's saturated, it's just not going to hold the same kind of rainwater that we were dealing with when it was dry. It's just not going to. So I'm having a little trouble with this now. I think my good luck streak here is finally ran out with this thing. So come on, baby, work with me here. Uh-oh. Yep. I knew I was kind of reaching a bit here. I should have just went to the other map. That's my own fault, I guess. I don't know why these low-level jet maps, these wind maps take so much longer to load. It just kills my speed, my internet speed, which isn't really there to begin with. Dang, man. Alright, so we established that this would be around Arkansas around this time in the morning hours. It's just inching by so slow too. Dang it, just bear with me, y'all. Alright, here we go. So we're getting into the late afternoon hours. Thankfully, this isn't really spiking too much. Could be a little bit of weather in southern Indiana and around central Kentucky. Could even expand further to the east, but it doesn't look like it's going to be anywhere near what it was. Around the late evening, overnight hours, I would be watching areas like Memphis a little bit more closely as far as maybe some severe weather, maybe some dangerous severe weather, some tornadoes. Hard to say right now. I'll have to take a closer look at the actual reflectivity model. Wow, look at that. Get some storms under that could become a big problem for areas like for Louisville and maybe even Columbus, Ohio, Springfield. You guys need to be careful. So we'll move this further and further forward. And this is probably be associated with our line of storms that'll move through on early Thursday morning. And it'll be out just as quick as it rolls in. And then that will be that. So let's take a look at the temperatures. Probably nothing too crazy here. I mean, we already looked at this yesterday for the most part, so I don't expect too much change. It'll be interesting to see what Arkansas will look like in the early to mid-morning hours. So I think that's going to play a key factor into the severe weather threat for them. Oh wow, look at that. So I mean, we're still getting plenty of high 70s and 80s around the time that we're expecting severe weather to develop. Our line of storms looks like it's about at this point here. Could be a few prefrontal quasi-linear storms ahead of it, which would lead to a higher tornado threat. The low-level jet really is already high around this area, so I see a potential tornado threat that could go on literally all day. which is crazy to think about. So I have to watch this really closely. And then as this storm system pushes further and further off to the east, it starts to lose steam because we don't have the same kind of daytime heating or any of the other real parameters that we would have, what we have going on pretty much right now or into early tomorrow. So the storm moves through. The storm system moves through, heads to the east and southeast, and that's that. Dew points, we pretty much know that they're going to be in the 60s. Really no point in looking at that, so we'll go to the Cape here, see what we got to work with. We have high Cape values tonight over our expected severe weather area. Cape's a little bit more limited, but not by much. So we're gonna look where it looks like our line of storms are gonna be in our highest level Cape. And right where that is the case, we do have a PDS tornado threat. Not surprising, unfortunately. Okay, let's take a look around here where we get to about 2,000. So it looks like non-supercell here. Things really start to pick up later into the night. Here we are. This is around the southwest corner of Arkansas. Wow, we're getting 3,000s late into the evening hours. But I'm not getting any quality supercell matches. It's the same thing as yesterday. Not really too much has changed. Apparently they have a lot of confidence. Apparently the NAM is just... Apparently they have a lot of confidence in this. It's kind of confusing, but... We'll just have to go with what they say. All I can do is go... Those guys are the professionals at the end of the day, so I only go by a lot of what they say. And if I can find some... If there's something that they're not seeing that I can see, then I'll go into that. But it doesn't look like there's too much I can really go off of here. I mean, we do have a very unstable atmosphere. We do have impressive lapse rates. We do have a very unstable atmosphere. So it's more than suitable for some violent tornadoes. I think maybe I'm reading too much into these soundings. I mean, this is really the first year that I've ever really been able to like get access to this kind of equipment, these kinds of tools, I should say. So there's that. I mean, we know the significant tornado parameter is going to be off the chart. We looked at it yesterday, so we'll take a look at the reflectivity and call this a day here. I know I've kept this video going for a little bit. For at least 23 minutes here. Trying to do a better job of making these videos shorter, but there was a lot to cover here too. Dang. I just keep having phlegm. I don't know why I do. So we're letting this load here. And here we are. So it's an interesting look here around Tennessee, especially around Memphis. So we have a marginal severe threat, and this only will pick up later throughout the day. Oh wow, look at this messy convection around Missouri, heading towards St. Louis in the evening hours here. Looks like the atmosphere is really stable around there though. Maybe towards Joplin we might have a different story. Nope. Very stable around there. It's around Arkansas pretty much where we're looking at some of the greatest severe weather potential here. So definitely looking like a quasi-linear event. Strong tornadoes mixed in there. And severe. But you see how this line kind of towards the south side, it'll kind of look a little bit more discombobulated, like there's little kidney beans in there. Those are embedded supercells. Those are really dangerous. We need to look at those extremely closely. Then right around Mississippi, it looks like there's an area of embedded supercells as well. And there's our PDS tornado threat. That's what I've been looking for the last 2 days, for the last couple of days here. Just trying to get an idea of what they're showing me. And it's definitely there. You can even see the little wind barbs here towards the low levels. You can see how this just continues to turn in different directions. Atmosphere unstable. So basically, this is everything that you wouldn't want if you're not looking for a tornado. So anyone around here, anyone around western Mississippi in particular, you guys want to be extremely careful tomorrow. The wind threat with this line of storms is going to be extremely high. One little tip to tell you that for sure is if you look at a radar and you see this kind of tight gradient between the red and the green on the leading edge, and then all the way, and then you suddenly see it just jumping to the yellow and red, yellow, orange, red, just like that. Usually that's a telltale sign of damaging straight line winds, because you'll almost see the tops of the storms pushed out far ahead of the actual rain. Right around here also, I think there is a strong potential for some embedded supercells. Just showing me a really weird look. So here's some prefrontal storms. And there's a marginal tornado risk. This is getting late into the evening hours. So I think quickly into the overnight, this becomes a straight line damaging wind type threat. I do think that there could be a few isolated tornadoes still, but it's going to be a lot more limited in nature. Like for Alabama per se, I think you'll have enough juice in the atmosphere to really have a very small tornado threat, but it is one nonetheless. By the time this gets to Atlanta, it will have lost so much steam. You'll be lucky to get a severe storm. Which is fine by me, because I need to work anyway, and I'm a landscaper, so as long as this isn't messing with my money, I'm happy. But this is all I got for you guys as far as Wednesday is concerned. To anyone that's under severe weather threat tonight that may happen to see this video, or tomorrow, definitely stay weather aware, stay safe, don't be scared, be prepared. But that's all I got for you guys. This has been Tyler Metalhead Weatherman, and I hope you guys have a good evening. See you tomorrow afternoon.